Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most foundational stories in modern psychology. It's a story of an incredible friendship, a bitter pair, but whose radical ideas about kindness and trauma in therapy push their bond to the absolute breaking point. Well, this is the story of that forgotten son. Meet Sándor Ferenczi. For years, he was Freud's most trusted colleague, his collaborator, his closest friend. But here's the fight with just being the pupil. He saw a different path forward for psychoanalysis, a more empathetic, a more human path. And that one decision, well, it would change absolutely everything. So, to really get why their split was so profound, we first have to understand just how close these two were. For Ferenczi, meeting Freud wasn't just a career move, it was like finding a home he'd never had. And get this, the sheer volume of their connection is just staggering. Between 1908 and 1933, Freud and Ferenczi wrote 1,246 letters to each other. This wasn't some casual professional relationship. It was a deep, intense, 25-year-long conversation that literally shaped the course of psychoanalysis. This quote right here, wow, it really gets to the heart of why Freud meant so much to him. Ferenczi felt this deep, profound sense of isolation, like an orphan in the world. He wasn't just looking for an intellectual mentor. He was searching for a father figure, someone who could give him a sense of belonging.
And for a long time, Freud was that home. He gave Ferenczi a place in the world and inside the new psychoanalytic movement. It was a space where Ferenczi felt he could finally grow, not just as a thinker, but as a person.
I mean, listen to this quote from 1919. This is really the peak of their bond. Ferenczi doesn't just see Freud as a colleague, he uses the word love to describe the care he received. It's a relationship built on just immense gratitude and affection. But as you can probably guess, this perfect foundation was about to get some serious cracks.
Okay, so this is where the story gets really interesting. Ferenczi took that incredible feeling of safety he found with Freud and tried to turn it into a revolutionary new tool for his own patients. He called it the psychoanalytic home. And the idea was actually pretty simple, but totally profound. If a patient's childhood home was a source of trauma, then the therapy room itself needed to become a new, safer home, a place where their personality could be gently and safely put back together.
Now, this led to some techniques that were, well, radical for the time. First off, a focus on pure kindness, which he felt was missing from Freud's more distant analytical style. Second, the active creation of a supportive environment. And then, the big one, the most controversial of all, reciprocal analysis, where the therapist actually admits their own mistakes to the patient, totally breaking down the old hierarchy.
So the thinking behind all this was that trauma, it shatters you, right? It splits your personality into fragments. And Ferenczi believed that connection, communication, and shared humanity, the very things he found with Freud, were the glue that could heal that trauma. It was a beautiful idea, but boy, was it a direct challenge to the establishment.
And you know what happens when you challenge the establishment, right? It leads to conflict. As Ferenczi pushed his new techniques further and further, that professional and personal home he had with Freud, it began to crumble. It wasn't one big explosion. The breakdown happened in stages. It started around 1924, with Freud expressing his first real dissatisfaction. By 1928, it was clear their paths were going in very different directions. The final straw came in 1932, when Freud basically tried to silence him, asking him not to present what would become his most important paper. A year later, their 25-year-long correspondence was over. Just like that.
So what was it all about? Well, their whole conflict really boiled down to this one crucial point. Freud was becoming more pessimistic, suggesting that when therapy failed, the failure was with the patient. Ferenczi flat out refused to accept this. He believed the problem wasn't the patient, it was the technique. It was the analysts who had to change, not the people they were supposed to be helping.
So, after he died, Ferenczi was pretty much erased from the official story. His ideas were dismissed as misguided, even dangerous. But here's the thing about history. It has a funny way of setting the record straight.
What's so wild is just how familiar Ferenczi's so-called radical ideas sound to us now. The focus on real-life trauma, the importance of empathy and kindness from the therapist, the idea that the relationship itself is a healing force, these are literally the cornerstones of so much of modern therapy, and they all came from him.
I mean, the reversal is just stunning. As psychoanalyst Andre Haenel puts it, so much of what we consider standard practice today, like focusing on that emotional back and forth between patient and therapist, what we call transference and countertransference, you just don't find it in Freud's work. It all comes from Ferenczi.
The student who got kicked out of the club ended up writing the new rule book.
It's an incredible story of vindication, isn't it? But it leaves us with a pretty provocative question. For decades, the official story of psychoanalysis was just incomplete. It really makes you wonder, what other heroes have been forgotten, and what other established histories are just waiting to be completely rewritten?